Quite simple. The next goal scored will send one of these two teams airborne tomorrow morning and bound for the Golden Coast. One time scrape towards the net, and they score!
From the depths of 3 games to none, the Monsters made this a series of a lifetime. Diminishes none of the achievements, and we'll never forget the 23-24 Cleveland Monsters. Well, that is where we last left the Cleveland Monsters a couple of short months ago, but as you can see, we're back at Brunswick Automart Arena in Strongsville for a new season, the 18th of Cleveland Monsters hockey in the AHL, and that means a new season of Monsters OT right here on Rock Entertainment Sports Network. Hi again, everybody. I'm Tony Brown, and we have got a great season preview show coming up for you guys today. A little bit later on, we'll hear from my co-host Brad Thiessen, who remains the Monsters goaltending coach, and head coach Trent Vogelhuber, who led his team to within a bounce of the Calder Cup Finals last year, but fell in Game 7 in Hershey. And guess what? That's where the Monsters get to start their new season in Chocolatetown, watching that banner be raised. More on that in a moment. We'll talk about Rock Entertainment Sports Network and what you can expect for the Monsters on this air throughout the season. But as always, let's get things started with headlines. Well, let's start headlines by breaking down the roster for the 24-25 Cleveland Monsters, and we're going to do so in a couple of categories here. We'll begin with two really important returning players, franchise figureheads, literally, for this Monsters team. I'm talking, of course, about the guy they call the franchise, Trey Fix-Wolansky and Jet Greaves. Let's start with Fixie. He's back. It'll be parts of 6 seasons now in Cleveland for a guy that's become one of the most prolific scorers, in fact, the most prolific scorer in the history of the Cleveland Monsters. So Fix-Wolansky back as that all-important anchor on the power play and atop the Monsters forward group. And you need an anchor, you look to the goal crease, and the Monsters have one there as well. And Jet Greaves, who statistically and by the numbers is the best goalie that's ever worn the Monsters sweater. He's got the all-time wins record in franchise history, the single-season wins record, and he backstopped the Monsters last year to a North Division championship, their first in the history of the club. Now watch for Jet Greaves to factor in up top this year. Fix-Wolansky too with Columbus, but Greaves specifically, he is clearly defined as the third goaltender in the depth chart right now for the Blue Jackets, so expect to see him up at hockey's highest level where his play shows that he belongs throughout this season. Moving on, let's take a look at some of the key returners here for the Monsters this year, and one theme for the group this season is that a lot of faces that are familiar with this city, this league, this organization are back. We're going to tick through them here. Stanislav Svozil, of course, an important anchor on the blue line who just got better and better as last year went along, his first professional season in North America. Also, Luca Del Bel Baluz is back, but wearing a new number. He's not number 65 anymore, he's number 10. He'll be joined in that group of guys that will really be relied upon at the start and throughout the year by players like James Malatesta, who had a really good taste of the NHL last year in his first pro season. Owen Sillinger, playing this season on an NHL contract, will be back, and an important leader for the Monsters. He's been arguably the team's Iron Man the past couple of seasons. Cole Clayton likewise earns himself his first NHL contract of his career back in the blue line. Hunter McCown back with Cleveland as well, one of the top centermen on this Monsters team a year ago. And you can add to that players who have, last year as rookies really generated some good experience in Corson Kuhlmans on the blue line, Ole Julian Bjergvik-Holm, who split time with the Monsters and in the ECHL with Cincinnati last year. Samuel Kanazko is back, Cameron Butler is back, so a lot of these key contributors who logged a lot of minutes last year will be with the Monsters again and able to sort of start where they left off from last year. Some newcomers, though, as well. Let's talk about those guys now. Minnesota native Joseph Labate signed a PTO just recently here to join the Monsters, rounding out the forward group. This is a guy with over 400 games of American Hockey League experience. Last year he was in the KHL in Russia. Russia, but he's a big guy, 6'5", and well-known throughout not only the AHL, but the North Division. Also, Curtis Hall, a local, he's from Chagrin Falls, is with the Monsters this year on an AHL deal. That is very exciting to have another guy who brings a lot of size to the bottom six and a whole lot of familiarity with Northeast Ohio. Another PTO signee recently, Chris Wilkie. He's coming over from the KHL as well. He was playing in China for Red Star just this season, and now he's back with the Monsters, back in the American League. And let's not forget about the addition in the goal crease, Zachary Sawchenko, an experienced player who's seen time at hockey's highest level in the San Jose organization, and also lots of AHL time recently with the Chicago Wolves in recent seasons. Last year he was in the Vancouver organization and played for the Abbotsford Canucks. Let's move along now to a remarkable rookie on this Monsters team, and in fact right now he's among the only rookies on the team. You got a glimpse of him last year at the end of the playoff run, but I'm speaking of course about Denton Mateychuk, who a lot of people thought would make the big club in Columbus, and his head coach with the Blue Jackets, Dean Evison, saying the only reason he's not there has nothing to do with his play or the camp he had. It's just a numbers game right now. But Mateychuk among the top prospects, not just in the Blue Jackets organization, but in all of hockey. Got into 4 playoff games with the Monsters last year at the end of a junior season with Moose Jaw in the Western League that was one of the best, if not the best, ever put together by any defenseman. He had 75 points in 52 regular season games, 30 points in 20 playoff games to lead Moose Jaw to a WHL championship. He was the WHL top defenseman and playoff MVP. First All-Star team honors in the Western League for him as well. Represented Canada at the World Juniors too, and he will be with the Monsters to start the season wearing number 17. Watch out for that name, Denton Mateychuk. You're going to be hearing a lot of it in the American League for now, but in the NHL someday and for a long time to come. And finally, wanted to remind you about the AHL contracted players on this year's roster. Jake Gaudette is back wearing a new number, shifting from 18 to 19 for this year. Justin Pearson, who just was dynamic in the playoffs for Cleveland, leading the Monsters in the postseason in scoring. He is back, as is Stefan Matteau, a familiar veteran name to Monster fans. And of course, Pavel Chayan, also back with Cleveland for his 3rd season as a Monster. That's it for headlines. That's a good look at the roster this season to start the year for the Cleveland Monsters. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from Brad Thiessen, head coach Trent Vogelhuber, and get you set with more Monsters OT. We're at Monsters Training Camp at Brunswick Automart Arena in Strongsville, and this is Monsters OT on the Rock Entertainment Sports Network. Back, everybody, on Monsters OT. Tony Brown back here with you at Brunswick Automart Arena, the Monsters official practice facility. And hey, look who I found here to join us on the Rock Entertainment Sports Network, our co-host, Brad Thiessen. Of course, Teese, also the goaltending coach for the Monsters. Teese, good to see you, man.
Great to be back. Hope everyone had a good summer.
A short summer, but a good one, and here we are. Wanted to catch up with Brad here, as you'll see plenty of him throughout the season here on Monsters OT on Rock Entertainment Sports Network. But let's talk goalies right now, Brad. That's your area of expertise, and 3 goaltenders on the training camp roster as of now. Let's start with the guy that has had more success than anybody in this organization, I should say, and that's Jet Greaves. What have you seen from him through NHL camp and heading into a huge season for him, an important one in his career?
Yeah, obviously coming off an unbelievable season for him last year. Took another step in his development. He looks the same. He's come back in great shape. Had a really good summer. Come back here at NHL camp and really showed himself again that he can play at that level. I think for him it was important with new management, Don Waddell, Dean Evison, guys who haven't seen him before, to be able to perform at camp and show them what he can do. And he checked that box, and looking forward to him coming back here and establishing himself again as a top goalie in this league.
Now he's got to think about a lot of things this year, right? It's kind of interesting because on the one hand he's established himself as an all-star goalie in this league, but he wants to be in the NHL, and he knows he's number 3 on that depth chart. So the mental load he's carrying this year, pretty significant.
Yeah, it is, and for him, he's so good at just putting that aside and not you let that stuff get in your head and it affects your play on the ice. So you want to be able to just he always says that he is where his feet are, and he's really good at doing that. So he's focused on being here with the Monsters, and when that opportunity comes, he's going to be ready for it.
All right, let's talk about the other goaltender on an NHL deal that's in camp with the Monsters right now, and that's a newcomer in Zach Sawchenko. He kind of had an interesting situation last year with Vancouver. Tell us a bit about that, and also what he brings to the table on the ice.
Yeah, he got stuck in a tough spot there last year with Abbotsford. Too many goalies in the system there for Vancouver, and he was kind of the odd man out in Abbotsford and was the third guy. Didn't get to play a game until March, and actually did a really nice job for them down the stretch and into the playoffs, played some games for them in the playoffs. So a veteran guy, a couple years ago, played over 40 games for Chicago with the Wolves. So, someone who can complement Jet really well.
Highly experienced in this league for sure. And then finally, let's not forget about a really important guy for the Monsters the last couple of years, and that's Pavel Chayan, who's back on an American League deal this year with the club. A guy who's shown a lot of flashes, I think, in his time with Cleveland and poised for a big year himself.
Yeah, every year he's taken a step, and it's been fun to see, and he's a great kid. He works really hard, and, you can never have too many goalies in the system for sure, and you know that at some point this year he's going to be called upon for, to make some big starts for this team, and he's going to be ready for that because he's come in, again, like he always does, in great shape, and looks like he's ready to go here.
All right, Brad. AHL camp's over in the blink of an eye, and so is this conversation, but we appreciate catching up with you and looking forward to some great stuff on Rock Entertainment Sports Network.
Ready to go. Looking forward to it.
All right, that is Brad Thiessen, Monsters goaltending coach. Now, let's take a look and a listen to a chat we had just a few moments ago with Monsters head coach Trent Fogelhuber here on Monsters OT on the Rock Entertainment Sports Network. Well, Trent, let's start just with your guys' experience collectively as a part of Blue Jackets training camp. Obviously, it's a valuable time for these players, but I would imagine for you guys too as coaches and to spend time with a new administration there in Columbus.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part is for us, especially as coaches, is just getting to know Don and Dean, obviously the new GM, the new head coach, the new coaching staff, getting on the same page with some of the systematic details on the ice, but just getting to know them as people and building relationships off the ice, which hopefully we'll be able to continue building over the next few years. So really nice to be around them. They got a great group there. They really, made us feel included, and it was a good starting point.
Wanted to ask you about a change to your coaching staff this year. Out goes Mike Haviland, up with the Blue Jackets, but Chris Bergeron is now part of your group. Tell us about your background with him and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, so it was a little bit late in the summer where they hired Javi, which we were so happy for him and well-deserved. And so Chris Bergeron was, one of the assistant coaches at Miami University that recruited me back in 2007 and coached me there for a couple of years as an assistant before he left to take the head coaching job at Bowling Green. And we'd remained close. So he was the first guy that I thought of and reached out to just because of that, because he was my coach. I know how he deals with players, and he's a relationship builder, a people connector. He'd made a lasting impression on me as a player to the point where we were still close 15 years later. And I think that's what's most important for our young players is people that they can trust that cares about them, and that's what he does. So was super excited he was available and that he said yes.
All right, folks, let's talk the team a little bit here. You guys are lucky this year to have so many returning players that know the drill here in this league and in this city, in this operation here. So headlined by guys like Trey Fix-Wolanski and Jet Greaves. How do you feel about this group of returners?
Well, yeah, it's good. We've got a group of guys that we've had for a long time, or at least a couple of years, and we've got a big group of players that are returning for year two that went through their rookie seasons last year and made big strides. So we lost some of the veterans, our whole leadership group, but with these guys that came back, there's huge opportunity for steps, and that's what we're all about, right? So excited to have a lot of these guys that we've built relationships with and we've taken steps forward with back, and they'll hopefully be able to show the new guys along how we do things, and we're going to need them. We're going to need the first-year players to take steps, and we're going to need the second-year and third-year players who have been here to take even bigger steps and fill some of those voids that have gone.
One of those first-year players is Denton Matejchuk, and we got a glimpse of him at the end of the playoff run last year, but the junior season he put together, the junior career he put together, this guy, how excited should Cleveland fans be to watch him play to start the year?
Yeah, very. I mean, he doesn't feel like a new player for us because he was with us for a bit at the end of the last year in the highest pressure moments, and he performed and fit right in with the group. So I do feel like he's a returner, although it was not a very long time here. But yeah, he's more mature, past his age. And he looks like a veteran defenseman out there. Not a whole lot of weaknesses in his game, so we'll be able to use him all over the ice a great teammate, and like I said, a leader in it, even though he's a rookie player. So be fun to watch, fun to have.
Well, we know AHL camp goes quickly, and you guys have games coming up really fast here. So, Trent, thank you for this. Good luck in the lead up to the season, and here we go again.
Thank you, Tony.
Back, everyone, to Brunswick Auto Mart Arena in Strongsville, where it's time for more Monsters OT here on Rock Entertainment Sports Network. Tony Brown here with you. And as you can see, training camp getting heated here as the Monsters are preparing for their first games of the season coming up here in just a few short days at the end of this week. Wanted to take a look at the Monsters 24-25 schedule here on our season preview show and break it down for you just a little bit. Let's start with the opponents that the Monsters will be facing this year. 16 of them, so half the American Hockey League will be on the other side against the Monsters this year, including 8 games each against familiar foes like Toronto, Rochester, and the Grand Rapids Griffins, and 4 games each against a number of division and interdivision teams, including Belleville, Laval, Syracuse, Utica, Charlotte, Hershey, Lehigh Valley, Providence, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Chicago, Milwaukee, and yes, the Texas Stars are back on the schedule for the Monsters this year. Nobody complains about that deep winter trip to Austin, Texas, so that'll be a lot of fun. In terms of the promotional schedule for the Monsters this year, tons of really cool stuff, including some familiar recurring theme nights that are back for this year. I'm talking, of course, about 1, 2, 3 Fridays, longest staple of the Monsters promo calendar. That means $1 Coca-Cola products, $2 hot dogs, $3 Labatt Blues, and other various domestic beer options there. Also, Blue Jackets nights are back. That means the Monsters will have some specialty Blue Jackets-themed uniforms that they'll be wearing for those games. And, of course, the Monsters Family Days are also back this year, where you can get $7 Monsters Kids Meals thanks to our friends at Castaway Bay. Those include a hot dog, chips, and an ice cold Coca-Cola. Specialty jerseys are always at the top of every AHL fan's list in terms of what to watch out for at the start of the year, and the Monsters have 4 specialty uniforms they'll be wearing this season, in addition to their brand new white uniforms, their blue-black jerseys as well, and those CBJ night uniforms too. The Fossil Face-Off, this is going to be really fun, is on December 14th. Monsters are going to be wearing, thanks to our friends at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, some jerseys that celebrate the original apex predator here in Northeast Ohio. Then Lumberjacks weekend will allow us to flash back to the IHL days at the end of January on the 31st and February 1st. A really cool look to the Lumberjacks jerseys this year. On March 1st, it's UH Rainbow Babies and Children's Night, so those jerseys are always something special. And of course, the big headliner this year with the specialty jerseys to celebrate Polish heritage here in Northeast Ohio. It's Pucks and Pierogies on April 4th and 5th. Going to be wearing those jerseys for 2 games, and I cannot wait to see those in action and on the ice. I think the players are going to love them. Giveaways this year, too. We've got lots of them, including a Monsters long-sleeve schedule t-shirt, courtesy of University Hospital's Straczynski Sports Medicine Institute, to the first 5,000 fans on opening night in late October. Then a Monsters scarf from Cargill to the first 5,000 fans on December 28th. The WMMS The Buzzard t-shirt presented by Medical Mutual to the first 10,000 fans on January 11th, highlights Cleveland Rocks night. And of course, we've also got the Jet in a Jet bobblehead. Wait till you see this thing, folks. The first 10,000 fans going to take home a very unique Jet Greaves bobblehead on March the 29th. Some great diversity, equity, and inclusion nights also on the Monster schedule this year. Unidos por Cleveland is on November the 3rd. Pride Night, November the 23rd. Our annual Black Heritage celebration on February the 28th. And our Women's History celebration on March the 7th as well. So lots to look forward to on the Monsters promotional calendar this year. Time for another break on Monsters OT, but quickly, want to remind you guys to be one of the first to experience an all-new guest experience at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse this year with the all-new Caesars Rewards Club, featuring all-inclusive food, beer, wine, and soda. You can enjoy 10 weekend home games with the Caesars Rewards Club 10-game plan, or enjoy a more flexible option with single-game tickets in the Caesars Rewards Club. Great group options available, too. Learn more at clevelandmonsters.com. The Monsters season preview episode of Monsters OT continues next. We'll talk about our new broadcast home when we come back on the Rock Entertainment Sports Network. Welcome back, everybody. Running out of time on this latest edition, this season preview edition of Monsters OT here on Rock Entertainment Sports Network. Tony Brown back with you at the Monsters official practice facility here in Strongsville. Now, let's talk a little bit about Rock Entertainment Sports Network, because this is such an exciting new development with the Cavaliers in association with Gray Media, and it's our new broadcast home. So keep your eyes peeled in the lead up to the Monsters' first home games of the year for more details on the Monsters' expanded television schedule right here on Rock Entertainment Sports Network. We'll also have lots of fun stuff throughout the season on Monsters OT and with the Cleveland Charge. Of course, the Monsters' sister organization here in the NBA G League, they will also have their own show here on Rock Entertainment Sports Network and a great expanded television schedule as well. So please do your due diligence, get organized, and figure out just how you can be a part of the fun with the Rock Entertainment Sports Network this year, because we are entering a whole new chapter in broadcasting for the Cleveland Monsters and across our entire organization. Well, that'll do it for this first episode of the new season of Monsters OT. Lots of thank yous to hand out, first and foremost to Leo Simone and Jeremy Hawks, the rest of our outstanding crew, and to the players and coaches who are getting us ready, can you believe it, for a whole new year, the 18th in the American Hockey League for the Cleveland Monsters. For all of us, I'm Tony Brown here at Brunswick Auto Mart Arena in Strongsville. This has been Monsters OT. We'll see you next time on the Rock Entertainment Sports Network.